Welcome to the Leader to Leader podcast. I'm your host, Susan Spears. Our guest today is Dr. Jamee Rodgers. He is the CEO of the Community Foundation of the Rappahannock River region here in the Fredericksburg, Virginia region. And Jamee, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Excited to be a part and excited to talk today and explain a little bit more about what we do and how I ended up in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you for that. And I'm so happy to get you here. I was talking to Jamee for a minute right before we started recording. And I said, now I think it's been just about a year since you arrived in Fredericksburg. And actually, as the time of our recording, which right now is the middle of June, and this will probably air in the next week or two, we're right on it because you started and really came and hit the ground running in August of 2025.
Yeah. So I moved here on the 1st of August, that Friday, and the 4th I was in office. So it's been nonstop.
You know, that's just the way life can be especially when you're in leadership positions. But at any time, you just have to kind of grasp it and run. So, yeah. So I know it's probably been a bit of a whirlwind, and I look forward to diving into a little bit of that, a little bit more with you. It's kind of cool to have you sitting here with me. I know that you all can't see the visual, all of our listeners, but Jamee has sat in this exact spot with me because we have a regional group of leaders that get together and chat about big issues for the region, and he's already been involved with that. So I'm glad you should be feeling right at home being here. I will tell you just a little bit about him. So prior to coming to to Fredericksburg to lead the Community Foundation, Jamee has more than 2 decades of leadership experience in the nonprofit and leadership sector. With most recently, he was president and CEO of the Urban Neighborhood Initiative in Kansas City, Missouri. And he also holds a PhD in executive leadership, a master's degree in ministry and nonprofit organizational leadership, and a bachelor's degree in theological studies and pastoral leadership. He's a certified John Maxwell executive trainer and consultant, and he's been recognized nationally for his work in leadership development, community engagement, and equitable growth. So he's done all of this, but I feel like it's almost like he should be sitting here interviewing me because you've done a lot around the word leadership. So I'm thrilled to have you here to talk on our Leader to Leader podcast.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, well, let's start by just having you share some of that journey wherever you'd like to start and how it eventually landed you here in this role.
Awesome. Well, I'm the product of 2 parents. My dad was a pastor. My mom was an educator. And so we were always a part of service and community in some part. And so it's always been a part of my life. And so I started out early in my career as a teller in college and worked my way up through the banking world and left there as a senior vice president and knew that I was making a good paycheck, but I wasn't making the impact that I wanted to make in that role. And so I made a transition. I went into education and taught for a few years.
Yeah.
Started out as a kindergarten teacher, had a blast teaching those young people. And my last year I taught in education as a high school physics and science teacher, and really just saw the stark differences in how my public school role for kindergarten was severely underfunded in some areas.
Right.
And the high school I taught at was the most expensive private school in Dallas.
Oh, my goodness.
Having just stark differences in budgets really opened my eyes even more to where there were areas we could really serve more. And so at that point, I knew I needed to do something. I didn't know what that something was. And so transitioned into a nonprofit role there in Dallas, and from then on, it's just been full go. And it's where I really can see my purpose and passions align in life. And so for me, it just became a way for me to live out who I am and serve every day. So now I get to come to work and see how to make an impact and serve people. But I'm blessed enough to get a paycheck to do it. So it's exciting to get both.
Yeah, that's a well put. So from Dallas to Missouri is a little bit of a journey there. So let's hear a little bit about that process or part of your life.
Absolutely. So real estate and development were a part of my worlds, both in Dallas and Kansas City. Kansas City, much like here, had a conversation with someone that shared a mission that they were looking for in a leader, and it was exciting. And so came and had conversations, ended up moving to Kansas City in the middle of the pandemic. I had never been there but once.
Wow.
And didn't really know anybody there, but I knew that the mission of the org was something I felt drawn to and something I felt like I can contribute to. And so transitioned there, led an organization. We were able to grow and expand and focus on the affordable real estate spaces and did some great work there. But I knew that the time was coming for me to see where I was going to transition to next and what I wanted to do, continuing on my purpose in life. And began to have some conversations here in the Fredericksburg area with the Community Foundation and really found some good synergy and alignment for what they were looking for in a leader and what I was looking for in the next place that I served. And once we began to have those conversations, I knew then that this was something I really felt called and drawn to. And from then on, it was how do we make this work and when can we get things going? And so my wife and I transitioned here about a year ago now, and it's really been a blessing. We have enjoyed getting into the community and just immersing ourselves and just kind of getting lost, driving around or walking around, finding some new little place we haven't tried yet, or some restaurant or just anywhere. So usually when I have meetings, one of the first questions I ask is, where do I need to try for some good food, and where should I go that will give me that experience? And so we've really just enjoyed getting to learn our new home.
Yeah, a new home and a new coast. You've gone from, well, having kind of not a coast, right? And I don't know what that's like because I've always been in Virginia in my lifetime. So a total East Coaster, if you will. So I'm sure that's been kind of interesting for you guys because coming to the Fredericksburg region, you're in a really unique spot. Yes, a spot with a lot of traffic, but a spot where you can be just anywhere pretty quickly, whether that's Washington, D.C., right up the road, which is fascinating. That never gets old. All the things, if you get in the car and head up there or take the train, it's really simple to get there, and it never ends what you can see there. But we're right by the beach, the mountains, and Richmond, the capital. And then, of course, you can even be like in New York City, if depending on method and time of day and all that. Technically, you can be there in about 6 hours or less, so I'm sure you guys you're going to be exploring all of that for some time. But the bigger thing is coming to our wonderful community foundation. It's just been a major community partner here for the Fredericksburg region. I want to say, in my mind, I didn't look it up ahead of time, but it's been a little more than or between 25 to 30 years. Am I right?
Correct. Yeah. 30 years next year.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember that right. My good friend, Terry McNally, was there for quite some time. And I know it's really something when you're coming in after somebody that took it. I remember when it was just her in a tiny little spot over there and how it's grown and the impact that it's made in our community. So let's hear some more about that this community foundation and why it's so special that it drew you across the country.
Yeah. So I knew once I had a chance to talk with the board and get a chance to understand kind of where historically we've been and where we were wanting to go, that I felt drawn to it. And then I had the opportunity to meet with Terry and then the team as a part of the process, and hearing her journey and how she started off in that office with just her sharing spaces, and now she's grown it to where it is today. And so knowing that it has that longevity of support, that longevity of leadership, if you're staying somewhere for 5, 10, 20 years, it's because there's something special about it. And so I knew then that it was something that I could get behind. And so that transition, we began to do the transitional handoff, and she was winding down and retiring. And I know she was ready to go and do some traveling, and I was ready to go. And so I was ready to get in and get going. And so we had that transition, make that smooth, and we were able to come in and really find a good groove for the both of us to do a smooth handoff without causing any extra work for the organization. And so now the organization's continuing to grow. We're in the middle of a big strategic planning process to see where and how we want to continue growing, and where are the areas that we can even refine ourselves. We are much like what you would think of as gold or any other metal. It's pure and pretty, but it has to be refined and continue to grow, and you got to polish it and keep it pretty. And so right now we're just looking to see where we need to polish and where we need to continue to strengthen up and build. And so it's exciting to see how we can continue shaping what we look like in the future. But the mission itself is pretty simple. We want to connect those who are charitable and philanthropic that want to give to those organizations that they care most about, and we can support them with resources and both time, talent, and treasures. And so we create avenues and pathways to connect the two together.
Yeah, you sure do. How many, in general, how many of those contributors or endowments and so forth are there now at the Community Foundation?
So we currently have 226 funds individual and just over 70 million in assets.
Yeah, that's incredible. Did you guys get that? I think you should say it again. It's a good number.
So currently we're at 226 individual funds.
Yeah.
And we are just over 70 million in assets.
Yeah, that's just great. A community our size and nowhere to continue to go but up. I mean, that's fantastic. And so so in your first year here, now you're working on the strategic plan, and I'm certain one already existed, and now you're saying let's take that to the next level. So some folks listening to us may not be involved with nonprofits or governance and really know exactly what that is, and so I'd love to hear more of your thoughts on why a strategic plan is so important in guiding, particularly any business, but definitely a nonprofit.
Absolutely. So I like to say this because people think of nonprofits as just a charitable organization. But I like to clarify the distinction that we're a nonprofit by tax status. We function much like any other business.
Absolutely. Same with the Chamber of Commerce.
Absolutely. So it's imperative that we have a vision and a plan for the organization as to where we want to go.
Yeah.
In order for us to be good stewards of the resources that we manage. And so we've always had strategic plans. We had one that ended this year, and so we knew we needed to see what the next version of it was going to be. But for us, in order for us to see where we want to go, we first have to assess where we are and see how we got here. And so looking at past plans and what we've been able to accomplish as an organization, see where we currently are, and then where our next aspirational goal is and the steps to get there. If we don't define it for ourselves, we'll be defined by everything that's external. And so we don't want to be an organization that's reactive. We want it to be proactive as much as we could. And so coming up with a plan and a basic set of framework for us to work within to say, hey, this is the big picture. How do we get here and what needs to be in place to get there? So we knew we had to do something that will look at the next few years of the organization as we continue to evolve into what we will become.
Yeah. So you think it'll be a 3 or 5 year, what are you thinking?
Yeah. So we have it set as a 5-year plan right now, and we'll do a mid-year about year 3 to see how we need to adjust moving for that 5-year goal.
That's great. We may look at, we haven't updated ours recently. Somewhere a year or two into COVID, we had just completed ours here, and we went back because come on, the world was so upside down, right? Yeah. And so what we did, it was great. The chair of our board at the time was kind of an expert in that field. He had done a lot of work with it, and we took the boundaries of time off of ours and made it a kind of a living document that didn't have an end date. Yeah. And then we took out a couple of things that were specific on perhaps stating an exact program or something, and made it broader so that we had space to bounce around in that. But one of the most important things I think that our group did at the chamber is they put something in there that helped the staff to course correct when we are either working with what in our industry, maybe yours, so they call it sacred cows. Yeah, there's some event or program that's been there forever, but internally you've started to realize it's not, it's loved by some of the community, but it's sinking us, and it can be because things in the world have changed on how you do that business. And that's what we have to, just like a business that's not got that 501c3 or 6 designation that we have. They have to do the same thing, but they don't always answer to the same stakeholders, right? So they just make their decisions. So it's hard, isn't it?
It really is. Delicate balancing act for sure. And it's challenging at times because at nonprofits, we are usually here because we care. So it's a heartstring.
Yeah.
So there's an emotional connection to both the mission and the work, but we also have the responsibility to be good stewards of the resources we have. And so having something that's a legacy program, if it can't be refined or in some cases eliminated, for something newer that's more impactful and more relevant for today's current times, we can find ourselves really just dumping resources that could really be making bigger impacts into things just for the sake of nostalgia, which it's great to have. That's why we have great pictures and we have great stories. But,
yes, we do.
Today's needs can't live off of yesterday's stories. And so we have to continue evolving to serve today's needs and anticipate tomorrow's desires.
Absolutely. At that time that the community foundation came about, things like social media, AI, none of it well, heck, when we started the pandemic, we weren't in the AI world.
Absolutely.
So it's just technology's just made it crazy for us. So as you've been navigating all of this throughout your journey, including prior to coming here a year ago, I'm sure there've been some mentors and people in your world that have had an impact. So tell me about a mentor or two and why they've been so impactful to you in your journey.
I've had some great opportunities to really connect with some wonderful people here and kind of get acclimated and learn more about the region and the culture that's here. And a couple people have really been instrumental in helping to get established. One is our board chair, Kimberly Young. She has come into a unique time where she was coming in as the chair as I was coming in as the new executive. And so we were both on the job kind of looking and seeing where we go and grow to. But her connections and resources and in some instances, her calming spirit helped to make this growth transition as smooth as it was. And so I really appreciate her dedication to the organization and helping to transition. And then my buddy Chip. Chip definitely has come in and has helped to make connections and make sure that I was included. And when things are going on, hey, did you hear this is happening?
Yeah.
There's an event you might want to consider. And so I really appreciate that because being new to the community, I didn't know what I didn't know. So if there's an event or something that's taking place, if I didn't know what email list to be on, I may have missed something that I would have ordinarily wanted to attend. And so having those good friends that will help us to know those things are great. And then, of course, the chamber has always been a great partner to help us kind of remember what's going on in the community, in the region, and staying connected and learning things. And so we appreciate the partnerships of all of you all that have helped make this settlement easier and more palatable. And when things were chaotic or stressful, to find that calming place of being able to say, hey, you got it, we're good. Let's see where we go to next, and here's what's happening and how we can help. So it's been a blessing to have.
That's great. And it's super interesting. I don't know that you may not realize it, but referencing Kimberly Young and Chip Boyles. Kimberly Young, for our listeners, is at the University of Mary Washington. And you can also research her on the podcast because she's one of my interview with her is one of our most popular. And then Chip Boyles is the director of GWRC, our local George Washington Regional Planning or Commission that oversees the bringing together the officials and different issues in the region. And I also interviewed him, so you can dig that one up if you want to know who these spectacular people are. But both of them are newer to the community too. Now, not as new as you, but Kimberly came in 2018. And the reason I can't tell you his exact year, but it was somewhere around not long after, maybe earlier, 19 or 20, somewhere around that. But I know hers like the back of my hand because she came and we sat down and met and everything. And then she, in her role at the university, and then she immediately came into our Leadership Fredericksburg program and graduated with 2019's class. And now she's one of our faculty there and one of my best friends. And so I'm close with both of them. So I love you having these great people that I know are just terrific partners and leaders and saying that they've been so good with you. I know Kimberly's leadership firsthand. So, it makes such a difference when you have that spectacular board chair, right?
Absolutely.
And then someone that you just, resonate with like that. So. But yeah, did you know they were both still relatively like last 5, 6, 7 years here too? So they onboarded and so they wanted you to.
Absolutely. So that kind of helped us to find some common ground. I just got past where you are, so I know how you're feeling. So definitely have been able to give some wisdom and
Yeah.
help to make some connections in different ways.
And she was originally from your part of the world, although Chip's a Southerner.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's got that accent, right?
Yeah, you definitely hear it when you talk to him. And yeah, I found out after I moved here that Kimberly was from Kansas
Yes,
City.
yes.
So where I served and where she grew up were not far from each other. But didn't find out.
I know. When I first heard about you, I called her. I said, I thought maybe she knew you, and she said, no, we actually didn't. So I thought that's just a simply interesting small world,
Absolutely.
Kind of thing. Well, listeners, you hear that wherever you are around the world, when folks are entering your community, make sure to be super welcoming. It makes such a difference for people. It doesn't matter what degrees and how established and all that they are, that the world around them still new.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they're trying to navigate that. So, well, let's go into a little bit more on leadership. So, when I know you know a lot about it, but how would you describe your personal, like your leadership style, and how does that work best for you?
Well, for me, leadership is defined as being willing to value someone or something and being unwilling to devalue them. What we
Okay.
value is the definition of love. And if you love something or care about something, then you invest in it and you support it. It's much like you would if you had a plant or a flower you were taking care of, or if you just gotten a puppy. You want to make sure that it has the basics, but you also want to give it some of the things that can help it grow and to shape it. Leadership is the same way. You're looking at how you can contribute, what is that you bring to the table, that helps to open the door, but then having the wisdom to step back out of the door and let that person walk through it and be able to come into their own. And so my job as a leader is not to show or to do everything. It's to create opportunities for others to be authentically themselves. And if it's something I can help along that journey, contributing where I can, but mostly staying out of the way and let you have the space to be who you are and feel comfortable to be that person.
So you sound like what can often be described as a servant leader.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Really empowering and lifting others. So now I'm gonna guess that means you're probably not a micromanager.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. No, we'll both be miserable if I have to micromanage.
I know, right? It's kind of the worst. So it can be hard with that personality style sometimes to hold folks accountable when you're not micromanaging and things are going this way or that way. So how have you learned to navigate that over your years of experience?
I do a review process called an RSM model. It's a results, support, and management.
Okay.
Basically, it allows me to sit down with a team member and say, hey, what are the results that you're going to commit to over the next year?
Okay.
And so they write their own job descriptions. They tell me the metrics they want to be measured by. We can negotiate or agree on what we need to change if there's any tweaks that are needed. Then the support is, what do you need from me and others to make you successful to achieve these goals? Once you tell me what you need, then I'm going to commit to give you those things, specifically what you have told me you needed. And then M is management. What do you need from me to help manage this process with you? Do you need to meet with me frequently? You need me to leave you alone and check in when you need assistance of some sort? But whatever it is your style of leadership needs are, I'm going to meet that need based on what you tell me. Once we agree, we both sign off on it at the end of the year. It takes the emotion out of it. This is what you told me you were going to do.
It's kind of black and white.
And if you did it, you did it. And if you didn't, let's talk about why you didn't. And so that it helps to create that gap of bridge, but it's the freedom of it. Because at that point, I'm giving you creative freedom to exercise your leadership rights to do whatever you need to do to achieve these goals, as long as we're within policy and it's not costing a whole bunch of extra money
Right.
within budget. Go for it and be creative. Call me if you need anything, let me know. And that means that now in the office, instead of me coming, hey, where are we on this? Did we get this done? I need this done.
Your expectation is the end goal.
Exactly. And we can now lead with that in mind. So that when we talk, it's about anything other than that, because we can just engage as people and not a leader who's having to come back and check on you every 5 minutes. Did we get something done? And so it lifts the vibe of the office where people don't feel as much pressure, because one, they have the control on the front side of committing to what they wanted to do. And it takes out the pressure of having to come back in and check in so frequently, because I'm expecting the leader that I've hired to lead their department or their group and come to me and lead me as they need my assistance, and however that looks.
Okay, so what about It's great. Just questions because I'm learning from you. On one of the things I've learned is trust but verify,
Absolutely.
because I've often at times had folks tell me, yeah, this has been done and all that, and then it not always was the case. And in the end, it's on me as the leader, even though I'm not in the details of that. So what do you do when you've kind of found, or is it some of those meetings, those one-on-ones where you catch that? Do you make that a priority to um, not still not micromanage, but find out what it is that you need to be verifying?
Absolutely. So, reverse engineering
Yeah.
the big picture. So it's always, I'm a whiteboarder. My team would tell you I love a whiteboard.
Okay. Okay.
So we'll usually go to the whiteboard. What's the big picture idea we want to achieve? This is the it we want. Now, what does it take to get there? And we'll walk it backwards. So that means by month 3, we ought to be doing this. And so we'll do check-ins.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So that way we can be on the same page and updates. I do weekly check-ins with both my individual team members, and it gives them an opportunity to talk about whatever they want to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Updates on their projects, but also just as a person, how are you doing? Anything that we can do to serve you. And then we have a weekly team meeting where all of us are together to hear what's going on in the department so we can eliminate silo works. And so having those updates weekly, it helps to put it in the perspective of, hey, I don't need to know that you've achieved the end goal yet. I just need to know that you've taken another step. And so with that in mind, but I also reaffirm constantly the idea of you're leading as a 360 leader. You're leading up to me. You're leading across those that are your peers and leading down to those that report to you.
Yeah.
But you're constantly leading. What do you need to lead me in right now? And how do you need me to respond to your leadership? And so knowing that if there's a challenge or an issue, tell me now. One of my favorite quotes is, I want good news fast, bad news faster. So if something's going wrong, raise the
No
flag.
surprise.
No problem with you having an issue. Let's talk about the solution. Only problem comes up is if you don't raise a flag and you go down with the ship because you didn't say anything.
Yeah. I have found, I think with some of my board members, especially executive committee, sometimes I can be too much, like as the leader, because of that transparency. I often raise the flag when there might not need to be one. But I don't want one of my leaders out in the community or something hearing, oh, I heard this venue didn't work out, or whatever it might be. And I want them to know of any red flags ahead of time. So it's finding that right balance. I've learned a lot of that through the years too. I was probably more red flaggy in the beginning, and now I pick my red flags. Yeah, but I want to know them either way, and I'd rather them be come to me with a smile a little bit, not a panic.
Absolutely.
Like, let's have a solution, right?
Absolutely.
What are 3 ways we can tackle this together?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That sounds like a really good working environment that you've got there.
Well, we try our best to. The thing for me is I need my team to be able to have what they need when they need it. We have a mantra that excellence is the standard of measure. And so I don't need perfection. I just need your best.
Yeah.
And that means I have to give you my best and help you create the environment for you to give me your best. And so what that is, you tell me and we can work through that. But it's not a dictatorship. I'm not telling you to go do. We're working through this. We're both taking this journey together. And it's not for everybody. And I always tell people, even in the interview process, that this job comes with a lot of freedom and a lot of flexibility for you to do your job how you want to. But for some, the freedom, the freedom space is freeing, and to some, it's
a little scary, right? To have that decision making, and sometimes we don't catch that.
Absolutely.
First month, 2, when you're trying to figure out, wait, I've got this feeling this one it's not happening, and sometimes it's because they do prefer some of I keep using the term. I don't mean to be so solid with saying the word micromanaging, but it's somebody that needs more direction, more detail, needs that real hands-on. And maybe there are, I envision a full department with one task.
Absolutely.
Perhaps like when I worked in retail management, and it was one department, one kind of thing that you sold, and you were all focused on that. Even though the variables with the seasons may change or something, it was still just that. And in our worlds, you've got those 200 and some different, you've got your big that, and then all those 50,000 moving parts that we try to manage. And so when that person needs that, I have a question for you about what's the hardest or most difficult thing with you in leadership. For me, that's one of them. Is when someone needs more of that than my ability to get to can, and so then we start to have some issues.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, it's knowing that the person doesn't necessarily have to have the answer, but has the wisdom to seek some understanding.
Yeah.
So if you're having a situation or a difficult moment,
Yeah.
again, you'll never have a problem with me saying I have a problem.
Yeah.
You will have a problem with me if you don't tell me that you have a problem, and we could have helped you
Yeah.
because we're
Yeah.
a team.
Yeah.
So how do we balance that out? And so knowing that they have a wherewithal to say, hey, I don't know this,
Yeah.
or I need help with this, I don't understand
Yep.
this, or I don't know how to necessarily solve this problem. Can you work with me? Absolutely. Like that is what we're here for. That the easiest way I like to describe it is everybody seems to be really good at being whatever finger they are. You can be the thumb, you can be the pinky, you can be the
Mm-hmm.
pointer finger.
Mm-hmm.
We're all fingers. But in order for us to build the future we want as a team or as a community, we have to function as a hand.
Yeah.
Fingers are good at pointing. Look what I did. Look what you did. Look what they should have done. It's a really good tool for one single activity. But I've never seen a finger swing a hammer. And so, if we want to build the team culture we want, then it takes us balancing each other. Medicine would say that one finger can hold about 10 pounds of pressure before it starts to feel discomfort. So,
Mm-hmm.
if you have basic math, one finger is 10 pounds, five fingers would be 50 pounds. But the reality is that a five finger hand can hold a lot more than 50 pounds because they begin to balance each other and they can offset where you may have been weaker in this area. I'm stronger in this area. Where you may be tired, I have more energy in this area, and we can balance it, but we work together in succinction. And so when we see ourselves as a team, hey, we're a hand, we're not a finger. You can still be your thumb. Thumbs up is a great thing, but I need you to see yourself as a thumb, but a thumb that's on this hand. And if this hand doesn't fit for you anymore, then we need to help you find the hand that you can fit best in. But you should always be a person that can be a thumb that functions as a hand.
Well, I never heard that one before, but I think that that's going to be something to remember. Yeah, it's a great, great analogy that you've put together there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, you already mentioned one quote that you like. What do you have another that may be one of your top standard or something just in life?
Yeah.
Or,
So I heard a quote when I was early on in my college career, and I don't know who the author is, so I'm just going to say, whoever you are, thank you. But it says, those that are closest to the problem are closest to the solution, so they should have the greatest voice. And it stuck with me because usually we come with the approach of how can I fix something versus me talking to what do you need that's actually the problem that's solved for. And so, as a person that works in the nonprofit space, I'm not coming to fix your problem. I'm coming to serve you while we work together to find solutions. And so it just stuck with me, and I've always remembered it. Remember, I'm not the one that knows the answers. I may have a connection that can help us find an answer, but this is your problem. You live in this situation every day. You tell me what you need. What is the real issue, and how can we get to some solutions for you?
It's good. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. I'm enjoying hearing all this from you. And I have a feeling I could sit here and talk governance with you kind of all day. I don't know if everyone would want to hear it, but maybe they would. They all can learn from that. All right. Somebody going into this kind of nonprofit world for the first time, what kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I would say that if you're coming into the nonprofit space, the first thing I would give as advice is ask yourself why, not why you specifically, but why are you getting into this field if there's somebody that's already doing what you want to do and can you help with someone else's mission? Duplicated services is what I would say is one of the biggest killers of the nonprofit movement because we want to keep doing what we think are the needs, but there's somebody that's oftentimes already serving that area that we could help resource.
Yeah.
I would say that was probably the first question that I would hope somebody has asked is, do I need to exist before I go create something new? Can I support what's already there? And then the other one is that remember that this is a marathon, not a sprint. You may not see the results you want to see instantaneous. Take your time and walk through it and be prepared for the slow seasons because they will come. But if you're built for this, then you can continue through the journey.
Okay, now wait. slow season will come.
Mhm.
Chamber of Commerce people, did you hear that? I'm seeking that. It never slows down on this side of the world. Oh my gosh. But when I was in retail, it did.
Mhm.
So I understand that. That's what I need, though, because when you have maybe the word slow, not slow, but a little more time, you can prepare.
Absolutely.
You can, yeah. I remember when COVID hit, I said, oh my gosh, we're going to close the office for 3 weeks. That's what they first said. I said, I can finally go in there and do some of this research and prep and all that. And I'll be at my house. I can walk my dog in the middle of the day. That didn't happen. I think I worked harder than ever. You know, it was crazed, right? That's a whole other, we're going to be writing books about that. I don't know when we're going to get to it, but I like the way you think about it, though, and that's how it should be with seasons like that throughout the year. Probably the closest we have might be around the end of the year holidays, because we'll have those last couple of things, but our lives are crazy then. You know, we usually have about 2 weeks off in like between like the last day we work in December and then coming back after New Year's. And so that's still not dedicated to here. Yeah. So I've got to do some work. See, I'm learning from you, Jamie. I've got to do some work on finding a way to get that season into our overall program over here. I'm going to work on it, Jamie.
You and me both. It's a constant practice. It's not a perfected thing.
It is. And then if you know what you're doing, though, all that other coming and going, I mean, you just know that's the routine you're used to.
Absolutely.
You know, I was at Rotary this morning, and our speaker, who, by the way, just great, from Atlantic Builders, Gene Brown, Leadership Fredericksburg 2012. Love you, Gene. But he was speaking, and he doesn't like to speak in front of people. And he did great, by the way. He asked me, does it ever get easier for you to speak? And I said, it's never been hard. And he said, what do you mean? I said, I was a piano major, and I started performing when I was a little kid. So I said, in my role, to your point about that one finger, my role, one of the things you're most seen for is that out there speaking, but you also have to have the details and the prep. So we're well-rounded, aren't we?
Absolutely. And if
Yeah.
not, have a well-rounded team.
Yeah. Yes. Back to the team. 100%.
Yeah, I may not be able to do everything at that level.
Yes.
I have the wisdom to know where I can't and say, you know what, I need to hire somebody who's strong in that area. And
so good. So good. Well, it sounds like I could go over there and chat with your team, and that's going to be a whole bunch of happy people, most of which I know. So I love hearing how you work with your team and your board and your now the strategic plan and everything. It sounds like you've really hit the ground running and are enjoying this time here. This first year with the Community Foundation of the Rappahannock River region.
Absolutely. It's been a whirlwind of a first year, and to say drinking from a fire hose is an understatement, is it reality, but I knew coming into a high functioning organization, I had to keep pace and help set pace. And so I came in ready to run.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. It's been obvious from the first, and it's clear that you've been doing that. So tell me what you do. Are you any vacations or fun things here in the middle here as we're hitting summer?
You know, I'm going to take my first vacation now. Actually, I got to get through a board meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Then we'll wrap it down. My wife and I's anniversary is on the 20th. And so we're going to go to Mexico and spend a little time and just do nothing.
Oh, isn't that the best?
It is.
Yeah, I saw, there's a guy I follow on Instagram. He's great. And he just sits and tells little stories. But he said, I make decisions all day, all day long. When I go on vacation, don't ask me to plan, going to see this site or whatever. We might go do it, but we're going to just pick up and go do it.
Absolutely.
Right? That's my vacation style too, Jamie. No agenda. Yeah. Wake up, enjoy the scenery, eat when you want. Yeah. Okay. Well, you've earned that and deserve that, and I hope you all have a lovely, lovely time.
Thank you. I certainly appreciate that.
That's great. Well, anything else you'd want to share with our listeners?
I just want to say thank you to each of you all for being individually who you are. Our community is such a blessed place, and we have people like you who care about it, love, and serve it. And so if there's anything that the Community Foundation may be able to do to help you on your way and on your journey. If there's anything that we can do, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to support and to serve, and can help in a number of ways if called upon. So we look forward to meeting those we haven't met, and to those that I have met. It's good to see you again, and hope everything's well.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure sitting down with you, and I look forward to many conversations in the future.
Likewise, thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. All right. Well, listeners, we're wrapping it up here. Again, I'm Susan Spears, and our guest today was Dr. Jamee Rodgers, who is the CEO of the Community Foundation of the Rappahannock River region. If you haven't already liked or subscribed to the Chamber's Leader to Leader podcast, can you please go ahead and do so? We want you to know when other leaders like Jamie that are just fabulous in our region are on the program, and you can learn from them as well. I hope you've enjoyed listening to our conversation today, and we'll see you next time.